not gone well.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
To me, I guess, I don't know. It's just weird to me that you would plan a date and then plan a party with your friends like a couple hours later.
It's a Friday afternoon. It could have been as simple as a meet for happy hour drinks, quote unquote, date.
Yeah.
First date. I've done this where it's like, hey, do you want to grab a happy hour drink or a cup of coffee? Because the great thing about having a first date in that situation is you're just having a drink, so you're not tied to wait for a meal or anything like that.
Yeah.
And being happy hour, it's cheap. So if the whole thing sucks, you're out $5.
Yeah.
And boom, done, gone.
I guess
Totally, yeah.
in my mind, he was after one thing, and that one thing doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be a short endeavor, but...
Well, he
you
probably
know.
told her at the outset, he probably said, look, let's get together, let's have a few drinks, but I've got to meet my friends later
Yeah,
for
maybe.
drinks.
And the other thing
then
is-
he was all set to probably ditch his friends and go home with her if that occurred,
That's
right?
fair, yeah.
Or let's make a night of it, and you want to come. It's going good. You want to come with me?
Yeah.
I've had situations like that. It was like, listen, I got to go to this thing. You want to come along? Cool. Let's keep going. I mean, there's
With
a
all of
whole-
your girlfriends
Yeah.
that you have currently
Yeah,
on top of your wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
they're not on top of my.
Well, yeah, but anyway, that didn't wind up happening, so he was drinking with the buds, and it doesn't seem that the bad date really crushed Oog's spirits, because I think he was playing the numbers,
Yeah.
lots
Yeah.
of efficiency and all that.
Yeah.
He probably already had somebody else lined up for Saturday night, and by the way, she's probably still wondering why he never showed up for the date.
And it's worth noting that it wasn't as though he came and was really despondent and like upset that
No.
the date hadn't
No.
gone well. He just said it didn't go well. Let's get on with our night.
No, he was
Right.
actually, according to his friends, in a very good mood.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's, I feel like
He was
that's
having a hell of a
important
night.
to set up the rest of the night.
Oh, yeah,
That
yeah.
we make sure that it's very clear that
Yeah, he's
he was
not-
in a good mood.
Not mopey, not depressed, and he certainly didn't say anything about fearing for his life or they're out to get me or, if I wind up dead, it's going to be because...
Or I'm
yeah,
really sad.
Or
I feel
ranting
so
about
alone.
lizard people, anything like that.
Man.
Yeah.
The octopus.
Yeah, I mean, of course, there is this one theory, which is that actually things seem to be really going well for him. He'd been promoted, he was doing well financially, living in San Francisco,
Yeah.
which is a nice, cool town.
It is?
Getting lots and lots of you-know-what, and he might have decided that, it's not going to get any better than this. It's only downhill from here, so I might as well go out on a high note and commit suicide.
Yeah, I don't know of
not
anybody
buying
that
that
actually
bit.
does that.
No, I
so
don't
think
either.
we can not include that when
No.
theories come up.
I would
Okay.
agree with that.
So Oog left his friends and left Underground SF about 1:45 a.m. Saturday morning in the wee hours. And he told Neil Zarama, his friend and coworker, that he'd get together with him the next day to ride motorcycles together. And apparently that never happened, unfortunately.
Yeah, apparently Neil called him multiple times.
Yeah, Saturday and Sunday both.
Yeah.
Yeah, like leaving him angry messages saying, "Where are you at, loser?" or something
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that. And yeah, he had no idea, of course.
I wonder why you never called him.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll find out. Yeah, as our mystery progresses here. The usual eyewitness reports. Who was reportedly seen by somebody at the intersection of Haight and Webster about 2:15 a.m.
That seems like a weird timeline, doesn't it?
A little bit.
Because he's only like 6 blocks from his house.
Yeah, and he left his friends at 1:45.
Yeah.
And so it is kind of hard to say. I mean, maybe he actually bumped into some people on his way towards the front door and bumped into some more people outside. I mean, who knows? Or
Could
maybe,
have swung by the bathroom on the way out.
or maybe his friends, like, somebody misread the clock.
I mean, if they were all drinking, it's pretty unreliable sources of
there's-
exactly what time it was.
Well, we
Yeah.
also don't know how the person who saw him was keeping time. I mean, a
Right.
fast watch or a fast clock
Or they may have simply
estimate.
based it on. They may have said, they called closing time and I was outside and 5 minutes later I saw Oog, so it must have been after 2, not understanding that bar time is always 15 minutes faster.
Yeah.
There's again, a thousand ways that could have gone wrong.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
yeah.
there totally are. And then he was caught. So the distance from the front door of the club and the intersection of Haight and Webster, it's about 150 feet.
Yeah,
So yeah, that's not too far. So I
No.
think somebody's time was a little bit off there. But he was also spotted on a security camera near his apartment at 2:06 a.m. Although this
Supposedly.
idea is a little bit suspect. It's not a clear Yeah, one of these days, security cameras are actually going to discover that thing called high resolution. They're not there yet, but one of these days, they're all.
Some of them are, but
it
it's
was really
hard.
dark.
Yeah.
I mean,
It
and
is
you've
dark.
seen the image.
Yeah.
And they had to adjust the image to see the silhouette that they believe is Oog. So
Yeah, it doesn't really matter too much. I mean, it's nice to have that timeline for the murder.
it does help tie things together.
Yeah, I mean, if what you were saying is right, and somebody was like 15 minutes off in their time, they saw him at 2 a.m., I could see him getting back to his apartment about 2:06 or so.
Yeah.
It's not very far.
No.
Yeah,
No.
not at all. So he easily could have made it back in that time. But he did, long story short, make it home. It appears that he actually got home, ate a little food because there was a plate that had some rice and peas on it on his kitchen counter.
Yeah.
So he ate a little bit. It also appears
Little
he spent-
post-bar food.
Yeah.
Absorb the booze.
Exactly. And
I'm
he
sorry,
also,
what was he absorbing the booze with?
Rice and peas?
Rice and peas.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Why not?
It's not what I would choose.
No, me neither,
I would
but
choose
hey.
greasy bacon or something.
Well,
like
that's why
that.
we're not French,
I
probably.
usually use like more booze to absorb the booze. That
Yeah,
really
me
works
too.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Yeah. And then sleep.
Well, it
sleep
works in
absorbs
some
the
ways.
booze pretty well.
Sleep's a good way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but whatever.
Okay, so he ate.
Okay, so he
Ate
had
a
some
little
food.
bit. Had a little food. Surfed some websites for maybe approximately half an hour. I guess we
More
were-
dating websites.
I think mostly dating websites. Yeah. So
Okay.
he was. Yeah, he had, like I said, kind of a one-track mind. And then some things happened, and not in any particular order, but he was stabbed 3 times. He went outside to the sidewalk in front of his apartment building. He came back inside, locked the deadbolt to his front door, staggered around the apartment until he bled to death. And it looks like from the blood trail, he like staggered kind of into the kitchen, like through the hallway into the kitchen, and then back out into the living room, and eventually fell down and
It
died.
wasn't a coherent path.
Not really, no, not at all. But, I'd never been stabbed 3 times, so, hey, no. I mean, yeah.
I don't think it's possible to have a coherent path when you're stabbed 3 times like that. But
Yeah.
anyway,
But he walked past his cell phone at least once, didn't pick it up to call 911. There were no bloody fingerprints on the cell phone. And he didn't yell for help. There were sort of signs of a struggle, like his TV and some other stuff was knocked over, but, so maybe he was in a fight to the death with somebody in his apartment, or maybe he was just staggering around and knocking stuff over randomly, too. Hard to say.
so I know you're going to describe the wound shortly, but
Yeah.
based on the amount of blood loss, I mean, when you go and people are going to go look for the crime scene photos, and they're out there,
Yeah.
and there is literally blood everywhere on the tables. I mean, the place is coated in Oog's blood.
Oh, yeah. Well, he had 3
He had
stab wounds with
He
it.
had a
but
major,
especially-
at least one major wound that was gushing.
Oh, yeah. And that
So-
one major wound would have been enough to exsanguinate him in about a minute.
Right. So.
I mean, that's quick.
Yeah.
That's a lot of gushing blood.
So I just want to say is that when we talk about this is there's literally blood everywhere, and there's like handprints on the wall where you can see him kind of falling and sliding, and that's why it looks so incoherent because there is so much spray going on.
Kind of hard to do a real blood spatter analysis there.
Really is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of an embarrassment of riches there. But as I said before, those things also did not happen in that order. He was stabbed, yes. He did go out to the sidewalk, yes. We don't know which happened first, although I have an idea myself personally.
I do
but,
too.
Yeah. But let's just say, for the sake of saying, that we don't know 100% for sure here. Time of death was placed by the medical examiner between 2 and 4 a.m., but some neighbors heard a ruckus about 2:38 a.m., which included, I think, a door slamming and somebody running down some stairs and a body falling over.
I think there was 1 or 2 door slams that happened.
Yeah, and so there was a big thud, and that was around 2:38, and so that's what I'm guessing.
Everything
Oog died.
started happening. Yeah.
That's what I'm guessing he died. Yeah. And then the next morning, one of Oog's neighbors came out to get his paper, and he saw there was blood on the stoop outside the apartment building. And this apartment building, you can find it at 462 Linden Street, San Francisco, on Street View. You can see it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a modest little wooden building. It's
That's
got
cute.
like 4 apartments. Yeah.
Yeah.
4 apartments. It's got a porch on it with 4 or 5 steps up from the sidewalk.
There's two separate stone entrances, but yes.
Yeah, and then there's like 3 doorways, 3 doors in there and in the front of it, and so like a shared kind of porch thing there. And so I assume that's where the blood all was.
It was on the concrete.
And the sidewalk too, I believe.
So the stuff that is on the sidewalk looks like it is splattered over. Most of the blood is on the first is on the landing and then the first and the second step. It doesn't really go down beyond that.
I guess I disagree with that, but
That's the way it looked, at least in the photos I saw. But there's blood all over.
it just looks like drops to me on the sidewalk.
Yeah,
Like
no,
a couple
it's on
drops,
the
a
concrete
Not a lot
of
of
the
the sidewalk.
steps.
Yeah.
When I say not on
Yeah.
the sidewalk, I mean not on actual street level sidewalk.
There is. Yeah, there's drips there.
Okay.
There were drips. They're just not.
There's like a couple drips, and then like a couple more drips, and then the stairs. Then
And that's when he
and
really
porch
started
area.
gushing. Yeah. Okay, so I have this report here from Michael Ferenc. I think is how his name is pronounced. He's a forensic
Forensic pathologist.
forensic pathologist who a couple of years after the murder, about a year and a half, I guess, reviewed all the evidence, including all the crime scene photos, the blood spatter evidence, and he said, "quote, the bloodshed evidence begins on the front door steps and sidewalk." So that was unquote. That's so yeah, there was some. I don't think
Okay.
there was a lot on the
Yeah.
sidewalk, but
Okay.
there was some blood spatter on the
Yeah,
sidewalk.
it's not a big deal.
No, it's not. And
I probably made a bigger deal than it should have been.
Yeah,
that's
that's okay.
That's all right. That gives us more time. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, we were with back to the neighbor. He came out to get his papers, saw the blood. He calls the cops. The cops get there at 8:20 a.m. They immediately deduced that something had happened, and they put up some yellow tape. And so, yeah.
And that's about the best thing they did in this case.
Yeah, so far, yeah, they haven't distinguished themselves terribly. Of course, no. But
So let's talk about his wounds.
yeah, let's talk about the wounds. So there were 3 of them, as you guys probably know. And I guess it's hard to say. I've always assumed that it was a straight thrust to the abdomen and then a downward stab to the chest. And then another downward stab at the base of the neck on the left side in the front. So
Right.
basically it went sort of into where the neck joins the abdomen.
Just above your collarbone, kind of.
And kind of behind the collarbone. And that was, and I've always assumed that it started with the down and then up and then the coup de grace was in the neck. But I guess that's not entirely cast in stone. I mean, it could have been in any order.
The description that I saw that made the most sense was that it was his stomach was first. He would automatically bend over, at which point somebody could stab forward again and cut him in the chest, and then stab forward again and hit him in the neck while he's bent over from the waist. Because, your automatic reaction when something hits you in your gut is to grab your gut and bend over.
That's good.
So that's why I presumed after I read that, I was like, oh yeah, that makes the most sense as to what order these could have happened in.
That makes sense. Yeah. Another thing I thought is that maybe somebody stabbed directly and then shifted the knife in their hand and it stabbed downward.
See, that seems awkward to me.
Yeah. And so, but anyway, however they did it, they managed to stick him really good. And that last one, Devin's making stabbing notes.
I am.
There.
This is one of those stories where there's going to
You
be a
gotta,
lot of
yeah.
gesticulation happening.
Sorry, I was just thinking like you could do like down, down, and then like back around, like standing. Yeah.
Like they do in the movies.
This wand
I'm
here,
handing
right?
her a magic
Yeah.
wand, a Harry
So-
Potter wand.
I am not
Down.
standing in front of you.
and then down, and then like turn around and like.
But that would require him to not move.
Yeah.
What you just demonstrated, what you just described, would
So
require
you
him
think it's like stab,
Forward
and then
stab.
he bends over.
and then stab.
That's good aim. I
Not
don't know.
necessarily. If it's a double-edged knife and the guy bends over and you just
If he's-
give him 2 quick punches forward, you're just gonna hit him where you hit him, and one of them's the lucky shot.
I guess I'm willing to say it's like a quick stab to the gut, and while he's going down, you like catch him in the chest and then you catch him in the neck as he's.
That's what I'm saying.
I see. Okay, yeah. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna keep stabbing with this wand.
Yeah,
It's a
hang on
beautiful
to the
wand, actually.
Nice wand, yeah.
Yeah.
That's from our listener Dylan. Thanks,
Yeah,
Dylan.
thanks. Using it as a good prop.
I
Yeah.
now have to sit farther away.
Actually, I think she's holding it for self-defense. It's got
I
a
am.
pointy end on it.
Yeah.
She's ready to stab it.
Why has she filed it down to a sharp point? That's what I want to know.
She's-
Why is there a razor blade embedded
She
in it?
painted this stuff on it too. This little bottle. This
Yeah.
little bottle. With
Okay,
a big
but
C on it.
so there
So
are a couple different ways these wounds could have happened.
yeah, it could have.
Yeah.
I like the idea, and I tend to think that the neck wound happened last because that was the gusher. I think that if that had been the first one, then there would have been more blood on the ground where the stabbing occurred or wherever it occurred, and then we would have probably gotten a set of footprints from the killer. There were no footprints from anybody other than Oog.
Well,
They were the only footprints at the crime
there's
scene.
another reason that could be, but let's keep talking about how. So it could have been stabbed, as Steve was saying, one grip, 1, 2, 3, gut, chest, neck.
Or one grip, stab, and then shift grip, so reverse the knife in your hand and then stab
stab and
downward
stab.
twice.
Or
Or it could have been two people
Okay.
with knives.
could have been two people.
Yeah, it could have been actually.
Or there's one more theory, right? Is that
It could have been a right-handed guy stabbing himself and committing suicide.
yeah.
And it's been said by, I think, the medical examiner in this case, that his wounds are not inconsistent with self-inflicted wounds. I mean,
It's tough.
It would
would
be
be
tough.
really hard.
That would be really painful.
Yeah, it's kind of, especially when you think about committing harikiri, it's like you think of the idea of stabbing in your abdomen and pushing up and gutting yourself kind of, but reaching up and stabbing yourself kind of in the neck, that's kind of problematical for me.
The whole thing of doing it yourself is really, really difficult to me.
People
So-
have done it.
Okay.
Oh, look out, Steve's got the wand.
Okay, so
But anyway, those are the various series. I mean, so one attacker, two attackers, no attackers. Okay, that's where we're at here. I think probably one. But
So, knife.
yeah.
with the knife. Well, the knife. Of course, the knife was never found.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
That's not the big twist of this story or
No,
anything.
not at all. Yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
duh.
Yeah. Although the police did note that they found some knives in Oog's kitchen that could conceivably have made those wounds.
Well, I mean, realistically, who doesn't have a knife in their kitchen who could have made those wounds?
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, anybody who has a set of knives
yeah.
has knives that could have made
And
these.
those knives were clean.
Yeah, they were all
Yeah, the
clean.
knives. Yeah, so Oog stabbed himself 3 times and then cleaned the knives and put them away.
While
While
gushing blood.
Yeah, while
gushing
spurting blood.
Yeah, exactly.
And cleaned them sufficiently so that they had no blood evidence on them, right? So that means bleached
they did
them.
check them for blood, yeah, and they found
It's not just like a casual scrub down with the whatever sponge that has a little dish soap on it still. No,
Nah.
right? Because that's not going to get all the blood off of it.
Oh no, you'd have to seriously be thorough
Yeah.
about it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say that the knife was not found at the scene.
I would think it's fair to say that
I
as
think
well.
that'd be fair to say.
Yeah.
Another twist is the doors were locked from the inside, which is why some people have called this story a locked door mystery.
A locked room mystery, yeah.
Locked room mystery. Excuse me, I got that wrong. Sorry. But yeah, and the blood spatter, by the way, is unusual according to police because there is that trail from the sidewalk up the stairs to the apartment door, which would be consistent with Oog getting stabbed outside or getting stabbed inside the apartment and then going outside and then coming back inside.
Which
Maybe going outside to get rid of the knife.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, I know.
But yeah,
You're
we're
not. I mean, the thing is you're not the person who said that.
No, I'm not.
I mean,
You didn't make that up.
You didn't
I
make that up.
I didn't know. I didn't make that up.
Which is
No.
the thing that is most frustrating about this.
Yeah. The blood spatter evidence does not indicate there was a struggle in the apartment, and because of that, the San Francisco Police Department has ruled the cause of death unknown. They're not willing to come down firmly on one side or the other, suicide versus homicide. Blood spatter does indicate that Oog was moving slowly and kind of wandering around the apartment. The blood spatter being like, if he'd been running, say, in the middle of a fight, then it's the blood droplets are kind of elongated.
An elliptical. Yeah.
Elliptical, whereas if he's just sort of moving slowly, standing still, they're just round. So he was moving slowly, which would indicate to me that, well, obviously he wasn't probably in a fight. You'd think he'd be moving rapidly to get to his phone and call police or do something, but he was probably in shock and already had lost a lot of blood. Probably wasn't thinking too clearly. And he did walk past his cell phone and didn't try to call 911. So, that kind of supports the suicide theory. Along with the fact that there was nobody that we know of that would want to kill him. On the other hand, though, he was in a good mood that night. There are no previous indicators of suicidal behavior. And, of course, the knife was missing.
Yeah. Although we will say, yet again, as we do every single time we talk about suicide, just because somebody's in a good mood doesn't mean that they are not suicidal,
Yeah.
underneath it all.
Yeah.
But I agree that it doesn't seem like it's not normal. It's not standard suicide procedure, which I know there isn't actually that thing. But there are a lot of things that he did that I don't know that
They just don't line up.
they don't make sense to me.
Yeah. But well, we'll talk about the suicide theory a little bit more. And actually, I guess theories are coming up here. So, but before we go into those juicy theories, let's take a quick break.
We run together in the rain to a cold tiled room just to find that it's totally empty and deserted before running back to your vehicle that brought us there. We do this for days and days. Eventually you get frustrated and you just leave me on the seat of your car. In the heat and the sun and the cold of night, I watch you put other, more important things on top of me. I'm more fragile than you might think. Sure, when I'm new, I look really pristine and sturdy, but it doesn't take very much for my corners to become folded and shabby, my edges to fray quickly and fold easily. I carry your things from here to there, and while I'm designed to do just that, you ask me to do more. You ask me to hold your things for so much longer. Someday, maybe, you'll use me as a transportation device instead of a storage device. Your mother would really love this birthday card, even though it's a month late. The problem is, good news is, it's really easy to buy stamps on Stamps.com. Anything you can do at the post office, you can now do right from your desk with Stamps.com. Buy and print official U.S. postage for any letter or package using your own computer and printer. And unlike the post office, Stamps.com never closes, so you can get postage whenever you need it, 24/7. I've used it. I've loved it. It's super fast and easy. Right now, if you use the code THINKING for this special offer, you can get a 4-week trial that includes postage and a digital scale. So don't wait. Go to Stamps.com before anything else. You can click on that little radio microphone at the top and type in THINKING. That's Stamps.com with the code THINKING. Because, let's face it, you should let your letters experience the excitement of postal handling instead of the drudgery of just sitting on your dashboard.
And we're back.
Hey, I found that sandwich from last week that
You
we
did?
took last week's break.
Oh,
Thanks
really?
for saving that.
Oh, yeah, it sort of fell down
Sweet.
between the cushions and the couch, but yeah, it's still there. The couch
Sweet.
preserves everything. Preserves coins, sandwiches, cat litter. Well, our theories fall into two subsets here. There's suicide and there's murder. So
Okay.
let's deal with suicide. Let's deal with suicide first.
Because that's the easiest.
Yeah, let's get that out of the way. This is a kind of a locked room mystery. So because of that, the police sort of think that it's possible that Oog's death was a suicide. And again, they've gotten a lot of grief over this, although technically speaking, they haven't come down all the way on the side of suicide. They just said they think maybe.
I thought originally they did say suicide, and then an independent investigation was like reopened, and there was pressure from the outside. Yeah, the French opened an investigation, and they were like, no, you can't say this is a suicide. And so the San Francisco police were like, okay, fine, it's
open.
it's
Yeah.
an open case. We
Yeah,
don't know
it
what
was
happened.
reinvestigated not just by the French, but also I think they asked the LAPD to conduct an investigation into it. I think also maybe the Marin County PD, Marin County Sheriff or somebody. There's been a lot of outside investigation.
Yeah, so basically, it's my understanding what happened is San Francisco was like, it was suicide, obviously. And then like 5 other organizations said no.
If you watch the interview with the woman who makes the